Nigeria raises $4 billion through Euro bonds. 20% of the full-time workforce in Nigeria lost employment during the COVID-19 pandemic, says survey by National Bureau of Statistics and partners. Mainland China markets closed mixed after earlier losses, Evergrande crisis closely watched. And oil prices rise over $1 after report of big draw in U.S. crude stocks. Details of this and more on Business Express, and we are reaching you from Abuja, Nigeria's capital. I am Benny Adams, your guide. Good to have you join us on the business side of life, and we'll start by telling you that Nigeria and the Republic of Burundi have resolved to deepen and expand existing bilateral relations between the two countries in the greater interest of their people and economies. This came to light when President Muhammadu Buhari received in audience his Burundian counterpart, President Evariste Ndayishimiye, on the margins of the 76th United Nations General Assembly holding in New York. The Burundian leader informed President Buhari that peace is fully restored in his country and reconciliation is ongoing. He said the Burundi is looking for support from friendly nations towards exploiting the vast opportunities that abound, especially in agriculture, oil supply and mining. President Muhammadu Buhari pledged Nigeria's support and assistance to what he called the brother African country. Minister of Foreign Affairs Geoffrey Onyema was at the high-level engagement.
Looking at cooperation with respect to, in particular, petroleum products, and for Nigerian assistance, technical assistance, and possibly also government-to-government sale of oil, crude, and also Nigerian technical assistance in the area of agriculture and also certain industrial projects. It's a follow-up, actually, of discussions with previous Burundian governments.
And after intensive 2 days of virtual meetings with investors across the globe, Nigeria has raised the sum of $4 billion through Eurobonds. Statement by the Debt Management Office stated that the order book peaked at $12.2 billion, which enabled the federal government of Nigeria to raise $1 billion, more than the $3 billion initially announced. Bids for the Eurobonds were received from investors in Europe and America, as well as Asia. There was also good participation by local investors. The size of the order book and quality of investors demonstrates confidence in Nigeria. The Eurobonds were issued in 3 tranches, which includes 7 years of $1.2 billion at 6.125% per annum, 12 years of $1.5 billion at 7.375% per annum, 30 years of $1.25 billion at 8.25% per annum. The long tenors of Eurobonds and spreads across different maturities are well aligned with Nigeria's debt management strategy of 2020 to 2023. A new report by the United Nations Development Programme, that's the UNDP, Nigeria, and the National Bureau of Statistics says 20% of the full-time workforce in Nigeria lost employment during the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020. Nneka Oko was at the unveiling of a report survey on impact of COVID-19 on business enterprises in Nigeria, and now reports.
This is the first comprehensive survey to specifically investigate the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on business enterprises in Nigeria. It covers both the formal and informal sectors of the nation's economy. The survey revealed that 81% of enterprises experienced a decline in revenue during the global pandemic, while 73% faced liquidity challenges.
So the median loss in revenue reported remained at 44% in comparison to what we had in 2019. Similarly, close to 60% of enterprises surveyed experience an increase in operational costs.
The impact and the recovery of these losses is expected to be uneven for businesses across operating models and sectors, putting pressure on the nation's economic infrastructure. Despite the complex challenges enterprises across the country continue to face, the report is also a testament of the strength and innovation and the resilience of those making up the backbone of the Nigerian economy.
While there have been promising signs of recovery this year, the report believed that business enterprises can increase their resilience through diversification and increased investment in bridging digital divide among various communities in the country. In Abuja, Nneka Oko.
Latest Central Bank of Nigeria report says significant growth in non-oil tax receipts in April prompted by the gradual return of business activities to pre-COVID levels led to a 28.2% increase in the federal government's revenue relative to the preceding month, raising the government's revenue to 1.106 trillion naira. The report indicates that at 1.106 trillion naira, the Federation receipt in April 2021 outpaced both the budget benchmark and collections in March 2021 by 28.2% and 7.9%, while oil revenue accounted for 35.5% or 392.91 billion naira of total receipts in the period. Non-oil revenue contributed 64.5%, amounting to 712.87 billion naira. The report attributed the diminished share of oil to the mega returns of 2.75 billion naira from crude oil and gas exports, compared with 52.50 billion in 2021 budget estimate. With the intervention in the agricultural sector by the federal government, experts say Nigeria will not only achieve food security, but will take the lead in agricultural production in African region. One of these interventions is the ongoing distribution of agricultural inputs to farmers affected by the 2020 floods. Correspondent Ilyasu Ali Yakubu reports that the Director General National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, Mustafa Habib Ahmed, flagged off an agricultural inputs distribution for southwestern part of the country in Abuja, Ogun State.
Western part of the country. Ogun State has prominently been on the news for flood-related incidences that has continued to affect the livelihood of residents and farmers. This distribution of the agricultural input to the affected farmers is a deliberate effort by the federal government to redeem their lost hope. 2,463 affected farmers have been verified to benefit from the distribution. Items delivered in Ogun State include 4,106 liters of herbicides, 1,642 liters of pesticides, 3,284 liters of growth enhancer, and 820 units of knapsack sprays. Others are 821 12.5 kg bags of rice seed, 821 basket of yam seed, 164 units of water pump, 821 10 kg bags of maize, and 1,642 bags of 50 kg NPK fertilizer. The benefiting farmers were overwhelmed by the federal government's gesture.
And I am very, very happy for this thing they have done. And very soon, they will see the results from us.
I want to appreciate our president, the minister, Mr. Governor.
To the good people of Ogun State, it's a welcome development because at least this will be able to restore them back to their place before the disaster.
What we are witnessing today is therefore a fulfillment of the federal government's commitment to give a lasting recovery intervention to the farmers and to ensure the completion of the recovery cycle in line with global best practices.
The NEMA delegation had earlier paid a courtesy.
And the Federal Executive Council has approved the national policy on fifth generation, that is the 5G networks for Nigeria's digital economy. The council gave the approval earlier in the month at the council meeting following the presentation by the Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, Issa Pantami. According to a release by the minister's technical assistant, Femi Adelui, the policy has been developed over a period of 2 years due to the need for extensive stakeholder engagement and the need to ensure adequate public awareness and sensitization. Joining me to explore the potentials of 5G in Nigeria and digital economy is an economist, financial analyst, and cryptocurrency expert, Arome Abu. Arome, you're welcome to Business Express.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Wow. 5G is the talk in town, and before now we've had skepticisms. People are saying 5G is this, 5G is that, 5G. But with a whole lot of enlightenment and sensitization, the federal government has finally approved the deployment of the fifth generation network. What does that portend for us as a country, as a people,
and
as an economy?
There's a keyword you just mentioned there, which is with a lot of sensitization. A lot of people are now beginning to embrace 5G technology. It's very important to commend the Honorable Minister of Communication, Dr. Issa Ali Pantami, because he's been propagating this agenda for a while. If you remember last year, there were disassociations between COVID-19 and 5G, which was actually debunked by the World Health Organization.
Yes.
But in a nutshell, it's imperative that I harp on the importance of the 5G technology. As you're aware, we're currently using the 4G LTE technology, which is the fastest technology. But to understand how big the 5G technology is, you need to understand the concept of the Internet of Things, which simply translates to the number of things which rely on the Internet to collect, transmit, and store data. With innovation, with advancement of wireless technology, as we're about to get into 5G, more and more things will be added to the universe of the Internet of Things. In layman terms, the first generation wireless technology, you could only use your phone to make calls. Second generation, we had a messenger layer included into that. Then we had a third layer, which started setting the precedent for the smartphones we own today. 4G was faster than 3G, and 5G will in turn make that even faster. So it's very laudable that the federal government is actually pushing forward with this, and to debunk any rumors and to allay any fears that people may have about radiation and any relation to COVID-19, because it's absolutely ridiculous.
Okay, away from the fears of radiation, which has been put to bay, the Internet of Things, which you've just mentioned, as well as data, talking about the big data and all of that, and how machines can transmit to a fellow machine, and another machine will receive with speed and all of that. There has been this issue of a lot of jobs are going to be lost.
Well, that is actually correct. There's obviously going to be a trade-off in the sense that with advancement in technology, we've seen we're depending more and more on machines and not on human beings to conduct this particular task. Exactly. So you do make a very valid point in the sense that a lot of people will not be involved in these jobs, but you can't go against innovation because the world is moving digital. Economies are going to become digitized, and in a sense, with faster technologies, and you get to a digital economy, like if you take a look at platforms, which are the biggest drivers of digital economies today, Amazon, Airbnb, and you've got Uber as well. So in a nutshell, we can't do away with that trade-off of having to lay off people to move forward digitally.
Okay, in that sense, what are the benefits of 5G with the Internet of Things coming into play, as well as big data? How would this help in faster accomplishment of tasks to add up to economic prosperity for a country?
Well, the 5G is a game changer. There are three things which it brings to the table, which people need to understand. And the three things are basically, the first foremost is it will give us more bandwidth. More devices will be able to be connected to the internet at a particular time. You have a low latency, which means that the internet will be more responsive. And you also have, last but not the least, a wider channel, which means the speed of the internet will be faster. You need to understand, the faster the speeds, the faster we're able to receive and transmit information. This will in turn have a large impact on how we live our lives. Business will be more efficient on how they receive information and how they transmit information. So 5G is such a big deal in the sense that it will make businesses more efficient and consumers to be able to get information quickly and timely.
Well, speed is exciting.
Yes.
Even if you're running or you're in motion or whatever it is. And since 5G promises this speed at a higher level, more like 100% beyond what we're experiencing with 4G, how would this impact into Nigeria's economy, in the sense that Nigeria is looking to recover faster from the effects of COVID-19. I know with technology, we're able to continue one or two things when the physical contact was reduced to barest minimum. Talking about during the lockdowns, we had to go on internet platforms, the Zoom meetings and the other stuffs had to come to play. How can we improve on this for it to impact on our recovery as an economy?
In a bid to recover, we need to understand something. That's one of the reasons why the Honorable Minister of Communications, Dr. Issa Ali Pantami, has been driving. If you remember, the portfolio of the Ministry of Communications have had an add-on, in the sense that it's now the Ministry of Communication and Digital Economy, because that is where the world is drawn towards. To answer your question, most of the particular engagement, most especially when it comes to work-related affairs, are going to be conducted on the internet. So it's dependent on a faster internet for this to be accomplished successfully, and that is the reason why they've been pushing for 5G to be, accepted.
Okay, I understand the federal government has a policy on improving the bandwidth. Where is the place of inclusion for that rural man in the village?
Well, that is where the government needs to put in a lot of work to ensure that when the 5G technology is rolled out, because as you're aware, not every single region of the country has, has actually been included into the network. So it's imperative for the government to ensure that these networks are actually expanded, so the layman, or sorry, not the layman, the people who live in the rural areas can really benefit of this particular innovation and technology.
Can we see the 5G working side by side or complementing the digital currency space that we have? Do we see them, the blockchain technology, do we see them working hand in hand?
That's a very good question. With an advanced wireless technology such as the 5G, they have their cons as well, in the sense that they have their flaws, which blockchain can help correct. And one of the biggest fears of the 5G technology, I'll give you an instance, is 5G technology is actually meant to drive the next sort of innovation, the first of which is automated driving. So what happens if, in terms of having data being transferred, there's a hack, for example? That is where blockchain can contribute so much to avert any of this sort of occurrences, in the sense that with blockchain, you can actually secure the data, so it prevents it from being hacked. So such hazards actually do not come to play. Data security, that's the first part. And the second part is actually blockchain iteration. This is actually a two-way relationship between blockchain and 5G. 5G in itself can help blockchain even better, because
and blockchain can also
help. Exactly.
Help
so
5G.
It's not a one-way street, it's a two-way relationship, in the sense that with blockchain iteration, 5G being a faster wireless technology can actually help the blockchain technology work
to
even
secure
better,
data.
to secure data even faster, and in turn helping the 5G network as well.
Thank you so very much, Mr. Arume Abu, for sharing your thoughts with us. 5G has come to stay, to make our work and our life much, much better. Thank you very much for coming on Business Express.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much, Ben.
Moving on, gold inches higher ahead of Fed policy decision. Let's see commodity prices. The OPEC Secretary General Mohammed Sanusi Barkindo underscored the timeliness of gas tech, stressing that the platform provides an opportunity to address key issues and concerns related to the industry following a difficult period caused by COVID-19 pandemic. Barkindo said this at the ongoing Gas Tech 2021 Ministerial Panel in United Arab Emirates with the theme Achieving Net Zero, Driving the Energy Transition. The forum also featured energy ministers of the United Arab Emirates, Indonesia, Turkey, and Qatar. The OPEC Secretary General shared his insights on the importance of oil and gas in the future energy mix. He says OPEC supports an energy transition that draws on the strengths of all energy forms, including oil and gas, which are projected to continue to supply more than half the world's energy needs in 2045, with oil at 28%, natural gas at 24%. On the energy transition, Mohammed Sanusi Barkindo said predictable investment in the oil and gas sector is required to address increasing global energy needs. He also highlighted the need to address energy poverty and meet global commitments to expand energy access. Well, let's take a look at the global market.
Hello and welcome to the Global Market Review. Now, the global markets have continued to digest the news of the possible default of the embattled Chinese property developer Evergrande. Also, top of the agenda for investors on Wednesday is the conclusion of the U.S. Federal Reserve's highly anticipated September meeting, with investors looking out for any indication about the Fed's tapering of its easy monetary policy. U.S. stock futures were higher in early morning trading on Wednesday after the major averages failed to rebound from Monday's Evergrande-led sell-off. In the regular session, investors are hopeful the bulls will sustain its grip as figures continue to roll in. Dow Jones Industrial Average rose 0.61%, S&P 500 0.56%, and Nasdaq Composite also topped 0.33% at 15,073.25. European stocks traded higher on Wednesday as tensions eased despite factors affecting global markets, giving clarity for global investors to watch for the outcome of the latest meeting of the U.S. Federal Reserve. Germany's DAX rose 0.63 at 15,444.95. London FTSE 1.19%, and France's CAC 40 also appreciated by 1.22% at 6,632.6. Markets in mainland China fell more than 1% on Wednesday before closing mixed amid the ongoing Evergrande crisis. Markets reopened for trade after a two-day holiday. Shanghai Composite is fractionally positive. Hang Seng Index topped 0.51 to close 24,221.54, while Nikkei dipped 0.67% at 29,639.4. Now, African markets are also responding to the influence from their counterparts in other continents as most stocks traded on positive notes. Namibia's overall index dipped 0.15% at 1,371.43, while Nairobi's all-share index are still maintaining previous figures at 1.24%. Well, that's the much we can take on the global scene. I am Boss Sedi Ebo.
Thank you, Bosere. And on that global note, we wrap this edition of Business Express. Business Express returns tomorrow.